Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It is a lovely morning here in the Ozarks. Yesterday was just kind of cloudy and drizzly all day, but boy, today it sure is beautiful out here in the woods. Speaking of the weather, if you haven't been paying attention the last 12, 14, 16 hours, I don't know, Houston, Texas got some pretty intense storms. And I'll talk about this here. There's been some crazy storms everywhere. But yesterday evening, they experienced the equivalent of a Category 3, maybe even a Category 4 hurricane. But it just came out of nowhere, unexpected really. And it didn't come from the Gulf like a hurricane would. There's high-rise skyscrapers in Houston that windows have been knocked out. About 1 million people without power. 4 people have lost their lives so far because of it. Crazy intense storms. I don't know if you've seen some of the footage, but there's some wild footage out there. So please remember those folks in your prayers. But it's not just Houston. Iran, Indonesia, Colombia. Trying to think, there's a couple other places that are experiencing intense flooding, heat waves in Florida, volcanic eruptions all over the place, earthquakes, kind of similar to what we were saying would happen because of all these solar flares we had. I'm sure there's definitely weather manipulation going on in there too. So when you add the two together, it's pretty intense and crazy. And, you know, you might be asking yourself, well, why would they be manipulating the weather to cause all these storms? Well, one of the reasons is so that they can consume land. Remember the whole Maui fires? I saw a report that 75% of the people there in Maui that were involved in those fires now are dealing with respiratory issues. And a lot of them, they lost their homes. Well, who owns that property now? Well, companies like BlackRock and other big conglomerates, governments, big corporations. Extreme storms is a great way to consume land. That's not the only reason, but it's definitely a big one. And it also helps further their global warming, man-made climate change agenda. So we're going to probably see more of that, along with intense solar flares that will just compound the issue, because aside from a solar flare having the potential to disrupt the grid and communications, they also contribute greatly to weather and earthquakes, volcanoes, things like that. Also, you see that thing going around about Russia? They are, for possibly the first time ever, I have not found any information saying otherwise, that they are doing missile testing off the coast of California. Yeah, between California and Hawaii, just outside of our waters, in international waters, they're out there doing missile testing. Is this a sign that things are heating up? I mean, that's pretty brave and brazen to be right off the coast of the United States. They do these missile tests and training out off of European waters, but that's their own neighborhood. Why did they travel so far to the U.S. coast or near U.S. waters to do these tests? I'm sure it's not just a coincidence. I'm sure it's not just that spot was available. We're watching the world powers saber rattle themselves into a war because they're trying to figure out who is the new leader of the world order. This has been talked about quite a bit over the years, and we're watching China and Russia become closer and closer. It's interesting. Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, was just in China not that long ago, and basically it boiled down to him asking China very nicely to please stop being such good friends with Russia, because Russia's doing such bad things in Europe, and we just would like China to stay neutral and not be supporting Russia's war in Ukraine and all that kind of stuff. Blinken comes home, and then Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin have some big party together. Actually showed them hugging yesterday. Not just shaking hands, but hugging. Because they have once again re-solidified, reiterated the strength in their partnership and their friendship. Why? Because they're trying to take down the United States. They've been very open about their financial war against the US dollar with BRICS and their gold-backed currency that they're trying to create. There's a lot of bigger things going on, folks, than just Ukraine or trade deals or things like that. This is a upsetting and a redoing of the world order. And I think this time America is not going to be sitting at the top of the dung pile. And that's going to be a big change for us in America. Most of you will experience this, will live through this, through the collapse and through the fact that the United States may not be at the top of that pile anymore. And it's going to change a lot. It's going to increase the cost of just living in general. You think it's expensive now, you wait till the US dollar has virtually no buying power or respect globally. It's going to change a lot. And honestly, all of the extreme things that we talk about that could happen, even if they don't happen, this one issue is almost to the point of being guaranteed, especially with the influx of illegals into this country on a daily basis. A nation cannot stand financially, ideologically, morally, when you have a massive influx of illegals from third world countries. This is something that we may not talk about a whole lot, the United States no longer being the top dog. And I know most of you probably say, well, it's been that way for a while now. Maybe so, but it's not been publicly accepted that the United States is no longer the top dog. But that day is coming. And it's not something I'm happy about. I'm as patriotic as you can come. And to see a nation that I've grown up being proud of and being part of fall to her knees, it's sad, but it's something that we need to mourn quickly, get over it, and get yourselves prepared. Because in your lifetime, in your children's lifetime, they're going to see a very different world out here, where the United States is no longer running things. And while that may be good for some things, it's going to be bad for you and I. We're going to see a world run by most likely China, godlessness, and communism, which is exactly what the World Economic Forum promotes. In fact, it was Klaus Schwab just a couple of years ago that was talking about how China is the perfect blueprint for the Great Reset. And that's exactly what's coming, folks. Every time that you watch something or hear something talking about how it is in China and how Big Brother there stomps on everyone's neck, you just need to know that that's coming to us. And you need to be getting yourselves prepared for that. Because it's not something that any American, I think, can really wrap their head around of what it's going to be like. Between the technology, the financial collapse, the dollar collapse, and then just a totalitarian style regime ruling over us. It's not something that most people can have experienced or understand. And we're seeing it happen right now with the current regime in the White House. It's been bought and paid for by the Chinese. Oh yes, they try to make it look like that they're at odds, but we all know the truth. We all know that that's not the case. And we're seeing an embrazen and emboldened China and Russia because they know that they control the White House. They know that there's no, that it's all bark, there's no bite there. And that's gonna change a lot of things around the world. So you need to be getting ready for that one. You need to be prepping up, stocking up, and who knows, maybe learning Mandarin or something. But seriously, we need to be getting ready because I don't think this is something that's going to happen decades down the road. I think this is something that most everyone watching and listening right now is going to experience and see. And we should be getting prepared for that. It's time to get your houses in order, folks, and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.